Alright, we're going to start up here by India, and just so everybody knows, this one has now made landfall. Just made landfall a few hours ago at the time of making this video. Uh, it's sitting right in India at this point. On down here to the Pacific, here's the tropical storm. Whatever comes after S, that's the name of this one. I'm not sure what it is. So far it's kind of moved on a northerly track, or kind of north-northwest track, and so far it looks like it's not going to get tugged on by Superstorm Sandy. Here's the flow coming off Superstorm Sandy. Like I said, all the way from the equatorial jet stream, the jet stream that goes around the equator, the tropical stream, all the way to the North Pole stream. Hurricane or Superstorm Sandy is connected. I mean, it's the first storm that I've ever witnessed personally, and the meteorologists on the Weather Channel are just now starting to realize that it's literally connected the northern jet stream to the equatorial jet stream, which just simply has never been done in history, as far as we know. We're not saying it hasn't ever been done, but as far as we know, it's never been accomplished, and in this case, it has. But anyway, at this point, it still looks like it's going to head north and west. But we will continue to keep an eye on it because it's still getting a pretty large tug on it from Hurricane Sandy or Superstorm Sandy. Also, I just want to let's go ahead and look at the actual radar here. Okay, over here on the radar, we can clearly see that it's still, at this point, they're saying it's still almost 883 miles in diameter. So from the edge of it, which is actually in Memphis, all the way out in the ocean out here, this entire area is still the system. I mean, if we zoom out just a little bit here, this would give you an idea. You know, it's still, I'll put a circle on the screen. That's the actual system itself. That's the remnant, what's left of the superstorm. It basically hasn't moved. You know, like we talked about, it would go on shore and it would just basically sit there for days. Now, in certain areas, like Roanoke, for example, they can still be getting up to 50-mile-an-hour gusts at this point. Now, that's still tropical storm force. 45 mile an hour and above is tropical storm. So all the way up to 74 mile per hour. And there are a couple places that can get gusts up to 50 mile per hour still at this point, Roanoke being one of them. Okay, now again, we can see that the entire system is completely connected all the way down to the equatorial jet flow, and we can also see clearly that it goes all the way up and connects into the northern, the North Pole jet flow. So this isn't all over by far. There's still blizzard conditions. We've got a whole lot of natural gas lines that are busted smooth open. We've got gas pipes, that is, that bring the fuel in. And then we've also got many liquid propane pipes that are coming into houses that have been snapped and they're leaking out gas. And there's all sorts of different kinds of gas leaks going on that could potentially start fires. We know that there's several areas at this point that are still not accessible. They don't have running water, and they do not have septic, and they do not have electricity. National Guard is offering them the opportunity to come out of that situation if they choose to. They do not have to. They're not being forced to. They are simply being given the option that if they're tired of the situation, no electricity, no sewage, and no running water or clean water to drink, then they can go ahead and leave those areas, and that's what the National Guard is participating in. But clearly the storm is still there, and I'm going to cover this thing until until the left side of it has moved offshore. That way we've got full coverage from beginning to end of the entire system, not necessarily the superstorm. As far as the violence is concerned with this storm, that's completely over for everybody. There's still there's still possibility of further power outages, even though quite a bit of power is already back on. The New York Stock Exchange is running on a generator. It doesn't have electricity. Manhattan doesn't. Some parts of Manhattan still don't have electricity, but the New York Stock Exchange is running on a generator at this point, so it is up, and most of the stocks are up, which is a good thing. But anyway, you can click. I'll record it until this side of the storm here gets off to the shore. That way, because we're still going to get a northerly flow when this thing shifts this way. The wind, goes counterclockwise. So on this end of the storm, when it gets up here, it'll be coming from the north. So we'll just have to wait and see. We're still getting up to 19-foot waves in Lake Michigan at this point, and that's in Illinois, on the border of Illinois here. Still getting up to anywhere from 5 foot up to 19-foot waves at this point. Still getting gusts up to 48 mile per hour on Lake Michigan. So so clearly the tropical force winds are still out there. And again, guys, let me explain something to you, and I'm going to explain it in this video. Actually, I'll wait and explain it. I'm going to explain superstorms to you, but I'll do it in a different video. That way it's in a class of its own, because this one will go into the playlist for Superstorm Sandy, full coverage of Superstorm Sandy. But anyway, my point is, guys, this thing's still almost 800 miles across. It's still producing rain. It's got plenty of moisture to work with as far as bringing in thunderstorms and such to New England and Maine and all this whole area here. We still got the blizzard conditions going on, and they will persist all the way probably through tomorrow at some point, and this entire system will begin to shift out of here. So I'm going to continue to cover it. Our brothers and sisters up in Canada, many of them were without power. I mean, the sheer distance that this thing covered as far as hurricane force winds and tropical force winds, just yet another record just shattered with this storm. You can see that their models are actually starting to change toward the northerly pattern. So again, we will be keeping an eye on it. It's starting. This model seems to think that it's actually going to get caught in the stream and tug it to the north and east. This model is now showing that it's going to go to the north and west. So in other words, it's going to get tugged on. In other words, all three of these models are showing a northerly tug, which is what's being caused by this. It would want to go east, but the reality is it needs to go northwest, which is its normal direction, but it's getting tugged on from here, from the east, so it's going to want to go kind of in a northerly direction. We'll keep an eye on it, though, and make sure it stays out of the tug range, because if not, it'll be coming into Baja California, the Gulf of California, or Mexico, or maybe even California, just depending on the path it takes. But anyways, guys, there's your update. Again, as we're starting to see the footage coming in of the coastline, it's just unbelievable that only 40-something people have died in this thing, and I give Father the glory for that, and I give each and every one of you that prayed, and all the people that aren't subscribed to me that have been praying as this thing came in for their family members and all that thing. I believe that really helped a whole lot, because, guys, this could have been severely worse. If it wouldn't have, when it hooked that left, if it would not have sped up and it would have filled itself in, this would have been absolutely devastating. And not one model, not one of them suggested that this thing was going to speed up after it hooked the left. Not one model, not one of them. And nobody had a clue about that. So to me, that was the grace of Father weakening this storm considerably before it actually hit landfall. Even though it accelerated in wind speed up to 90 and gust up to 100. I think the record was 100, but that was about 60 feet off the ground. The record on the ground wind speed, I believe, was 98 mile per hour. That's pretty significant. But that part of it didn't last long, the 90s. Mainly it was in the 70s and 80s. So I consider that to be the grace of God. I give you guys the credit for praying, for confessing your sins, repenting, and turning back into love and praying for these people. And like I said, guys, right now He is not out to destroy life. He doesn't want life destroyed. This is just the opportunity that He's giving everybody to shake the foundations of their life, to remove those things that they trust in, so that hopefully they'll realize that there's something much greater than they are, and much greater than the government, much greater than the governments of this world, much more powerful in every imaginable way. And He's simply setting the example, and He's doing it all over the place. Over here is the water vapor trail, and as you can see, the dry area for this system has considerably shrunk for Superstorm Sandy. And again, here's the new system that's getting ready to come on shore on the west coast that we will be keeping an eye on. It is producing flooding rains in certain locations, and these sorts of things, and some fairly decent winds at the same time. So we will be keeping an eye on that. And then over here on the wind map, here's where it's showing the current circulation as being right on the lake here, and again, it's affecting all the way down to basically South Carolina, I would guess, somewhere in that general area. Maybe even just parts of Florida, but I wouldn't really consider this part to be part of it. But again, this is the total area that it's still covering at this point. So pretty significant area. And then this is the winds coming off of the new system that's sitting right out here. And then finally, here's the current view. There's the new tropical storm. Here's this disturbance down here in the Caribbean, and then here's Sandy, which is completely now mixed in with all of this stuff. And again, it should be heading out to the north and east, or toward the east, and hit on out of here. But I'll cover it all the way until this edge here is offshore. That way, there's a complete record of it from the beginning all the way down here in the Gulf. The Caribbean Sea, all the way up and then out. Okay, I'll try to keep complete coverage of it. It'll all be inside of the playlist. So it's not completely over. The extreme parts of it, the devastating parts of it, are absolutely over for everybody. Certain areas are still under blizzard conditions. Certain areas are still getting flooding rains, believe it or not. A lot of the rivers are still very much swollen. People cannot even get to their houses in those areas. There's several areas that are still completely cut off, but the National Guard is involved in rescuing these people. I think it's absolutely astonishing how well these people have worked together. The American people are absolutely resilient when it comes to these kind of mega disasters. They absolutely are resilient, and we always bounce back. It's just that's the way the American people are. We live in a blessing. We dwell under a blessing, and we don't even realize that we do. But that's just the way it's always been. So India, I'm thinking about you guys. I'm praying for you guys. I know you're dealing with a huge typhoon, pretty powerful, and in one of the most densely populated areas in India. And again, guys, they don't have concrete buildings and skyscrapers in the general area where this is hitting. They've got huts and that kind of thing. Totally different setup than the United States of America. Okay, so over there in India, this could be absolutely devastating beyond this what we're seeing here. This hit the most the most densely populated area of the northern of the United States, and the other one's over there hitting a very, very extremely populated area of India. So, good luck to you guys in India. I'll be praying for you guys. I hope all's well. Hope you guys do not get much loss of life. Hopefully, it's just all property damage, because that can be recovered. So we're going to have new coastlines. Everybody's going to have new people are going to have beachfront property. The people that lost their homes, those get moved to the back of the rows if there's room. If there's not room, they'll be moved onto on back to wherever there is room. That's just the way it works after these things rewrite the coastlines. And clearly, this covered this superstorm Category 1, guys. This is only a Category 1. Sandy covered more coastline than the Hurricane Category 3 Katrina did down here in Louisiana, Mississippi. As far as devastating the coastline, this one is far superior. Sandy is. But again, guys, we've got power outages still at this point. We've got people without septic. We've got people without power. We've got people without running water. Okay, this isn't in bulk, guys. We're not talking like, oh no, the whole Northeast is without water and power. It's not like that, guys. But very huge, significant areas are. And so continue to pray for these people. Continue to help them in any way that you can. Send money to the Red Cross, whatever you can do. You know, if you're a carpenter, you know, and such, get up there, try to help them rebuild and get the thing back together. When it hit Louisiana, Katrina did, Louisiana, Mississippi, we took off from Texas and went down there and helped them rebuild for about 2 years, and it was quite the experience to see just how powerful these storms are when they do come in. I mean, it just looks like bombs detonated, and places were just leveled. Just unbelievable damage, and we're seeing the exact same thing up there on the coastline in the Northeast. It's just mind-boggling. I mean, considering this was only a Category 1, but this was a Category 1 superstorm. And again, I'll make a video explaining what I mean by superstorm. It's not been defined by the meteorologists, so I don't know what their definition is. Y'all don't know what my definition is because I've never defined it. But again, superstorms are a brand new thing. They've only been happening since Snowtober and onward. That's when the first one actually started, was in Snowtober. It wasn't a hurricane by any means, but it had hurricane force winds, had unbelievable snowfall, record-setting event. And then you had Isaac, which was clearly a Category 1 superstorm, and then you had Sandy, which was also clearly a Category 1 superstorm. and I'll get into those details in another video to help you guys understand what exactly is a superstorm and why do we call this one a superstorm. Okay, so I'll get into that later, but for now, there's the coverage of Hurricane Sandy, now almost 48 hours after the hurricane hit the land. And again, we still have tropical force winds on Lake Michigan, certain spots of Virginia, and Roanoke, certain areas, guys, still receiving tropical storm force winds. Gust, that is, up to tropical storm force winds, which is again 45 mile an hour up to 74 mile per hour. So still very powerful, guys, considering the fact that it's been almost 48 hours since this thing has made landfall, and it's still doing what it's doing. It's just absolutely incredible. And then again, this is the remnants of it as far as the rain and the snow, and this area here is still under blizzard type conditions. So there's your update, guys, and again, we do got this system coming on board over here, and you can see where the eye is and everything. So we'll keep an eye on what's going to happen with that as time moves forward. We'll keep an eye on what's going to happen down here in the Caribbean, and the eye down here what's going to happen in the Pacific Ocean. And again, I'll keep coverage on this until this edge is off the shore. Talk to you guys later. Get in the Word, stay in the Word, and get the Word in you. And shalom to all.